He never expected to own a hangar, not even in his wildest dreams. For most people, hangars were symbols of wealth, of corporate empires with fleets of ships docked inside them. But for him, it was nothing more than an abandoned lot of steel and rust that had been sold off by the city council for $1. The auctioneer's voice had cracked through the speakers that day, reading the property description with all the enthusiasm of a man selling broken furniture. Lot #47B, decommissioned hangar. Current state, unusable. Opening bid, $1. Everyone had laughed. Nobody bid. It was a joke, a leftover from an age when starships filled the skies and men dreamed of colonizing other worlds. But he raised his hand. Maybe out of boredom, maybe out of a stubborn desire to own something, anything, that belonged to the forgotten stories of the past. The hammer came down. Sold. $1. The hangar was on the outskirts of the city, in a stretch of land where factories had once thrummed with noise but now stood silent, their windows shattered and their doors rusted shut. He unlocked the heavy gate with the key they had given him at the auction office. The hinges groaned as if waking from a century of sleep. Inside, the air smelled of dust, oil, and something else, something metallic that clung to his lungs like ash. The floor was scattered with debris, old crates, torn tarps, rusted scaffolding. But it was the shadow at the far end of the hangar that caught his attention. A bulk, massive and unmoving, its silhouette swallowed by dust and darkness. He walked closer, each step echoing on the hollow floor. When his hand brushed against cold metal, he realized what it was. A ship. Not just any ship but a warship. Ancient, forgotten, its hull scorched black, its wings folded like broken limbs. It stretched nearly the entire length of the hangar, a corpse of technology from a war long erased from memory. He stood frozen, breath caught in his throat. The council records had forums where historians traded rumors. There was almost nothing about the ship. Only a few scattered notes about a fallen fleet that had once defended Earth in a war nobody wanted to talk about. Every official record called it classified. Buried. Forgotten. By the second night, curiosity won over fear. He returned to the hangar with a flashlight and a crowbar. The ship loomed in the dark like a predator waiting to pounce. He climbed the rusted scaffolding and swung himself into the cockpit. Shards of glass crunched beneath his boots. The pilot's seat was ripped apart, its leather long decayed, its controls snapped off or fused into melted shapes. But there was something else. A sound. Faint at first, so faint he thought it was just the wind slipping through the hangar doors. But as he stood still, he heard it clearly, a low hum, rhythmic, like breathing. It was coming from the ship. He backed away, panic fluttering in his chest. The warship was dead, yes, but something inside wasn't. Something still pulsed with life. His flashlight beam slid across the floor of the hangar, catching on something half buried beneath debris. A crate, sealed tight, with the same strange symbols etched onto it as the ship. He pried it open. Inside were objects that didn't belong in this world, metallic fragments shaped like bones, shards of crystal that shimmered faintly even in the dark, and a mask. A mask that looked human, yet not. Its eyes were hollow, its jaw sharp, its expression carved in a permanent snarl. He dropped it instantly, heart hammering. And then the hangar lights flickered. One by one, the dead bulbs sputtered alive, filling the cavernous space with a harsh, white glow. The warship's hum grew louder, like a heartbeat. He stumbled back, tripping over a coil of wire, but he couldn't take his eyes off the ship. The symbols along its hull began to glow faintly, pulsing in sync with the sound. He wasn't alone. A figure moved in the far corner of the hangar. Tall, silent, almost invisible in the harsh light. Its outline shimmered, like heat distortion on a desert road. He blinked and it was gone. The hum stopped. The lights died. Silence swallowed everything. He ran back to his apartment, slamming the door, breathing hard. But even there, in the safety of his own walls, he felt it, the sense of being watched. The mask, the hum, the shadow. They weren't just relics. They were warnings. He thought about returning the key to the council, pretending he'd never seen the hangar, never touched the ship. But deep down he knew the truth. Once you awakened something like that, you couldn't undo it. And what terrified him most was not the ship itself, but the question it left behind. If the warship was junk, what, then, was powerful enough to guard it?